I'm freaking out, man.
You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men with power want? More power.
My name is Luca Zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a drill. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom.
We're not afraid.
I come from a state which has virtually no gun control, and yet I voted to ban certain types of assault weapons. I voted to close the gun show loophole, and I voted for instant background checks. And what I said is that as a nation, we can't continue screaming at each other, or else we've got to find common ground.
Well, what is that? What is that?
What
Because
common
you've said
ground
it.
is,
What is
for a
it?
start, universal instant background checks. Nobody should have a gun who has a criminal background, who's involved in domestic abuse situations. People should not have guns who are going to hurt other people, who are unstable. And second of all, I believe that we need to make sure that certain types of guns used to kill people exclusively, not for hunting, they should not be sold in the United States of America. And we have a huge loophole now with gun shows that should be eliminated. There may be other things that we have to do. But coming from a rural state, I think I can communicate with folks coming from urban states where guns mean different things than they do in Vermont where it's used for hunting. That's where we've got to go. We don't have to argue with each other and yell at each other. We need a common sense solution.
And that was
I come from
Bernie Sanders. Hi, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM and on United States FM network. Another Sunday, another show. You know, it's kind of sad, I'm telling you. I've been here in this country for about 18 years. 1998, 2016, we are getting there. And my English still sucks, as you can hear. Getting better, but not as good as I wish. But regardless, I'm here, and I'm doing my best to just try to, pray probably for a miracle, because that's all I can do right now. I sometimes feel kind of hopeless when I see where we are right now in this moment in America. I could never imagine that as options for the American people, we are facing, if you're a Democrat, an alleged criminal. I say alleged because, after all, everybody deserves a trial. Of course, only God knows if she ever going to be indicted. Talking about Hillary Clinton. A woman that I don't even care if she was the saintest of the saints. The fact that you're still voting for somebody that is like a dynasty, We had in this country about two families ruling like an oligarchy for 30 years. The Bushes and the Clinton. And then the Bushes again. Now, what do you want? Against the Clintons? I mean, that's insane. Just right there. But regardless, look, situation that I don't even want to think about. This woman is completely a travesty. If I was a Democrat, I would jump in the lake before I vote for Hillary Clinton. And then, of course, there are the options. Other option, what do we have? We have a declared communist that, I know, it scares the hell out of me. You just heard him right now on guns. The people may say, after all, it's reasonable. What is reasonable? The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, Mr. Sanders. First of all, don't tell me which gun should be allowed. The guns have not a hunting purpose for the American people. Yeah, if you want to hunt for fun, whatever, that's fine. I couldn't care less. Yes, the guns are even to kill people. Normally they hurt people. You can kill people with a rock. You don't even need a gun. And as you said, this special gun just made to kill people. But first of all, the purpose of the Second Amendment wasn't about even self-defense, Mr. Sanders. It wasn't about hunting purposes. It was exactly to defend from communist leeches like you, or from fascists like, the Bushes. from tyrants, from tyranny, from enemies, foreign and domestic. That's the purpose of the Second Amendment. Nothing has to do with hunting. And the fact that we already have, by the way, laws that when you go to buy a gun, it's called background check. You go to any type of stores, FFL dealers, and you know very well that if you already have any type of misdemeanor related to domestic violence, you don't get the gun. So don't start to rewrite things that they're stupid, that they're already there. So the fact is, you try to make it like reasonable. By the end of the day, that I'm sorry, because this is sad. If you're a Democrat, you're stuck between a criminal elite like Hillary Clinton and a Marxist like Sanders. That maybe sound a little better than Hillary when it comes down to gun control, because she wants completely no guns for anybody. But it's still pathetic. So, and the fact that this guy, unfortunately, it is not like, I'm sorry, as I said, instead of addressing, we may have differences, and that's fine. We have differences on socioeconomics, that's fine. I don't say that we need to agree, of course. I say always, my difference is different from yours. I tell you why. Because when even I disagree, I don't demand and I don't force you to do anything against your will. Instead, if you're a Sanders, or if you're a socialist, or if you're a communist, you always want to force me to do what you want. That's the difference. So socialism, it is not just some sort of, mild word. Socialism, it's the soft-core version of a boot on your face. That's what it is. Means castration of a free human being. That's what it is. And that's what Sanders wants. Because at the end of the day, let me put it this way. If he was a true man who really wanted to fight the establishment, who really wanted to try to expose the real evil behind, he would go after the Federal Reserve. Because when you understand that before 1913, the United States Treasury, it didn't need to go to a private cartel of banks, a private institution called Federal Reserve, to print any dollar that they needed, that we need to run the government, and of course also to run all this welfare. It didn't need to do that because we were doing as a as a sovereign nation. So that's the point. But then, when this Federal Reserve Act was created, every time we go there and we beg for a dollar as a nation, it becomes a dollar of debt. So it becomes a dollar that we had to pay back with the interest. And there was this famous congressional investigation. It was like some sort of a panel of independent, both Democrats and Republicans, under Reagan. I forgot the name of this sort of a report. Anyway, they prove that every dollar that we pay with the income tax, all it does, it goes to pay the interest on the debt to the Federal Reserve. So let's say Sanders, he wants to go crazy, he wants to spend another $10 trillion and put us more in debt, and consequently, we got to all increase our taxes. And I tell you, I saw according to his website, according to different documents directly from his campaign and different independent economists, if Sanders goes through and he can put his policies in act, every one of us, our income tax is going to go crazy up. Even people that are on minimum wages, okay? That's the bottom line. So that's the point. We have here a system that is based on coercion, is based on forcing the individual to submit, to involuntarily share the fruit of his labor. We're talking about, what if somebody taxes you, 100%? How would you consider yourself? I say a slave. Somebody takes 100% of what I work, I'm just a slave. But I got news for you. I think the slaves, they are better off. The slaves are better off because after all, they don't take any of their money, but Master completely take care of them. Master takes care of them. Instead, us, we are left with a little bit of money. And what happened? We have to use this money to take care of ourselves and survive. So let's say, yes, the government doesn't take yet 100% of our income. But let's say with Sanders, pretty much you can get out of 80%. You could get out of your 80% of your income when you start to put also state taxes and all the other different taxes, like in Italy. More than 78%, 80% goes to the government. So you work for 20%. You can keep only 20% of what you earn. So this is pure evil. Simple as that. Now, yes, you don't want to vote for Hillary. I'm sorry for you. I mean, I'm sorry also for the Republicans, because I don't like any of them, and I'll show it to you. I'm not here to pander to anybody. I just wish that whatever experiment you want to do, you do not need to use and curse other people in your utopistic nightmares, because for me are nightmares. For you, a utopia that the government is going to run everything and everybody's going to be taken care. Guess what? Means somebody else has to have nightmares. Okay? So let me play 1 second about this individual, Sanders, that, at least I tell you, I give him something. He's kind of honest compared to Hillary. That's true. The guy declared himself some sort of a socialist Democrat, and he says your tax is going to go up. So let's play, and let's see what type of nightmare we're going to have if we got him. And then I'll tell you also a little bit about the other side, because, I have no sides but the truth. I have no sides but the United States, its Constitution, its a Bill of Rights, and the principles that were expressed in the Declaration of Independence. Here we go. Mr. Bernie Sanders, the savior of the Democrat Party.
Socialist who wants America to be more like Sweden, Denmark, and Norway.
He wants America to look more like Scandinavia.
That's right. And what's wrong with that?
But is he telling you the truth? In 2014, Sanders endorsed longtime Communist Party supporter Chuy Garcia's bid for the Chicago mayoralty. Sanders spoke alongside Scott Marshall, a leader of the Chicago Communist Party. 1985, while serving as mayor of Burlington, Vermont, Bernie Sanders celebrated the 6th anniversary of the Marxist Sandinista takeover of Nicaragua with pro-Cuban leader Daniel Ortega. He also traveled to communist Cuba, later praising Fidel Castro for his wonderful government-run healthcare.
Just because Ronald Reagan dislikes these people does not mean to say that the people in their own nations feel the same way.
In 1988, Sanders and his new bride honeymooned in the former Soviet Union, where they negotiated to make Burlington a sister city of Yaroslavl, a city less than 160 miles from Moscow. The following year, Bernie Sanders addressed the 10th anniversary celebrations of the Communist Party-controlled US Peace Council, the American affiliate of the Soviet-dominated World Peace Council. Sanders spoke alongside such democratic socialists as Decima Williams from Grenadian President Morris Bishop's pro-Castro New Dual movement, and Zedi Terzi, a representative of Yasser Arafat's terrorist Palestine Liberation Organization. In his first congressional race, Bernie Sanders received the endorsement of journalism icon I.F. Stone. Stone was at the time a supporter of America's largest Marxist organization, Democratic Socialists of America. Stone praised Sanders for his pragmatic socialism. Stone would later be identified as a former long-time Soviet spy. Democratic Socialists of America support the theories of Karl Marx, Italian Communist Party leader Antonio Gramsci, and call for the complete government control of all business. Bernie Sanders has worked with Democratic Socialists of America for decades. They even funded and supported his first successful Senate race in 2006. A prominent Sanders supporter is Washington, D.C. Democratic Socialists of America leader Kurt Stand. Stand was recently released from a federal penitentiary after serving a 17-year sentence for spying on America for the former Soviet Union and Communist East Germany. Democratic Socialists of America are now effectively running Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign, but the Marxists have deliberately tried to hide this from the American public. Socialists will always try to deceive you to get your support.
We are not communists.
Will you let Bernie Sanders fool you?
Okay, that was a nice little clip. By the way, I went to double check and verify all these details, information. I don't just play a little clip because it sounds great, okay? I have really no sides. I mean, as I said, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat. I just don't want to be a slave. That's the bottom line. I don't want to be a slave of the Republicans. I don't want to be a slave of the Democrats. I want to be a free human being. I would like to respect everybody, but I also would like that be respected. I don't want to be forced into sharing things against my will. And let me give you a little premise here. I had on my show this show is recorded, okay? Something very strange happened. I had my good friend Ronald O'Donnell just 1 hour before. We were having a great time, a great interview, and even some disagreement because I know that he supports, or at least he prefers, between Hillary, is a Democrat, Ronald, of course, running also for California State Senate. But, he does not support Hillary, and he supports Sanders. And we were trying to have a conversation. We were talking about serious stuff, talking about banks, Federal Reserve, and things like I'm saying right now. And I want it back on the show. I want Ronald back. But the problem is something happened. Out of the blue, my computer started to freeze, started to freak out, started to talk about some very interesting topics. And strangely, I'm not saying it's a conspiracy, but for sure it was a great timing, be sarcastic. And everything, all the file was erased. Took me 1 hour to go back online. Okay? So that's strange, all I can say. Same time, I would like to say, let's think for a moment where we are right now in America in 2016. We have right now a good 40% at least of the country, or maybe even 50, I don't know, we will see, who's voting for or supporting for a declared communist. Why it really freaks me out, this? Because when I think what I left in Italy behind, where the government pretty much has control of all your life, your business, regulations, taxation. As I said, in Italy now, you're going down to about more than 82.7, 82.7% of your income goes to taxes. You are a slave. As I said, I rather sometimes to be a slave so I don't get anything. I work for free. But at least master is supposed to take care of you completely. Instead, you're screwed because you have to also fend for yourself, pay for your rent, your car, whatever type of locomotion, your clothing, and your health. You think you have free health. Guess what? In Italy, you die. If you really have some serious disease and you go through the public health care that you paid with your taxes, you die. You wait probably 8-9 months before you get a real special check if you have a cancer, for example, okay? So just to give you an idea where we are, I don't want to go back there. And that's why the difference, the difference, I wish you happy, and the difference between me and people like me and you who want to vote for people like Sanders, I wish you the best. I want you happy. I want you can create your own dreams or your own nightmares, your own utopia, whatever you want to call it. You want to have socialism, you want to screw each other in the back, I don't care. But don't do it with me. That's exactly, you see, how totalitarian you are. You want to impose your system, and to impose your system on others, you need others. Somebody, after all, the government doesn't create anything. It doesn't give you any money because they make them from magic. Yes, they make them from magic. It's called the Federal Reserve. But guess what? Then, exactly why we have the income tax. And that's why I'm so mad at Sanders, because if it was a real person for the people, even with his own socialistic/fascist, because remember, the fascism or the Nazi, they were national socialists. That's what they were. Philosophies or ideology, the first thing he should do, he should abolish the Federal Reserve. the true masters. Because at that point, yes, we create taxation. I mean, we create, we're looking for revenues. All the welfare programs that he wants to create, all these things that he wants to give away, whatever, at least we don't need to go to a private cartel of banks like the Federal Reserve that is going to charge us the interest. And then we have to pay back this interest with our income tax, exactly what we work for. That's bondage. So you would say, okay, let's go back before pre-1913, before the National Reserve Act. At least he wants to play all these sort of funny games. Let the government print the money, like we used to do before 1913, and we don't need to pay any interest, and we don't need to charge any income tax. It still would be wrong, because after all, the system would collapse. The money would become like, if you print too much, I don't care who you are, especially if you're not backed by gold and silver, it's going to be monopoly money. But at least you don't need to go to jail if you don't want to, be raped in your pocket and redistribute your wealth, your hard work, the result of your work. We're not talking about these people. They don't go after the Rockefeller. They don't go after this real 1.00001%. They go after people like me and you, okay, regular people. So that's very disturbing. If now America is completely surrendering to the idea that socialism, it's a new system to look forward, freaks me out. We didn't come here in overnight. It was a long process. I think it was Nikita Khrushchev who said that during the Cold War. I'm just trying to paraphrase it now. I mean, I read it. I remember he said, don't expect that in America, you're going to have immediately communism. But with small doses of socialism, you're going to wake up. In a couple of generations, it's going to be a communist country. That's where we are. And that's why now I want to say, it is sad. If you look for a moment, you stop for a moment. Everything when you coerce somebody else in something that you want, but maybe they don't want, that's very sad. That's violence. Same story with Social Security. Social Security is supposed to be something voluntary. It's after all, if I work, and these are really my money, don't you dare to tell me how I can spend my money. And if I want to be a bum on the street one day, it's my right. If I want to invest in privately, it's my right. If I want to give it to a government entity like, the Social Security, and have faith in that, and hopefully I'm going to get my money back with the interest, that you already know now it's a scam. Unfortunately, the money, they're gone. Now they pay as they go. I mean, they don't have any more money because they spent all the money. The money is supposed to be allocated just because you give it to them, to invest them, to give them back to you for your retirement. They stole that money. You know that. But the point, regardless, even if they were the most, great financial planners, don't tell me that I have to give you anything, because these are my money and I'm not your slave. That's the way it should be. So you see, that's exactly what is socialism. Sounds, after all, they make it sound like, if for the good of the community, it's the good of the group. You're an individual. You have rights. It's your money. It's your work. I believe in charity, but I do not believe in government extortion, especially, when the mob behind the people gangs together, hide behind the government. They think just because they have 51% of the votes, they can dictate your life. They can tell you how much money you can keep in your pocket. That's disgusting. But regardless, I want my friend Ron O'Donnell back on the show. I really do. He's a friend, and he has a lot of good points. I think he's a great Democrat. At least he's not afraid to speak up in his own party so much that, he got a lot of enemies. When you start to mess around with somebody like Clinton, and you start to say things about the banks, and try to create some alternatives to this bank fraud, and talking about the illegal loans, that's serious stuff. So I respect him for that. And it's good, even we don't have maybe exactly the same vision on Second Amendment, but he he understands that we all need to be armed. Every man or woman and between, I also say, every human being has that right. It's not a privilege, it's a right. That's the bottom line. And you know what? If Sanders said at the end of that clip, in this little original clip, I didn't find it, but I know that according to Ronald told me that the states can regulate according to their different environment and reality. The Second Amendment, I disagree. Because the states have no business to regulate any of our Bill of Rights. They have no business to regulate our First Amendment. They have no business to regulate our Fourth Amendment. And the Second Amendment is no less, no more than all the other Bill of Rights. So that's where we disagree. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. If a freaking immigrant like myself, that still speaks sometimes like a wop, understand that concept, I demand from an American-born citizen that's pretty much easy concept, okay? So that's what I'm trying to say. Now, that's from the Democratic Party side. You see how screwed you are, my dear friends? I wish there was somebody like Kennedy. Not what the people can do, not what America can do for you, but what you can do for America. That sounds like almost a Tea Party person. Of course, he wasn't perfect. A lot of things he did I didn't like. But you know what? This guy was a patriot. Compared to these Democrats today, he was, my gosh, was this Captain America. Don't forget the executive order. I think it was 11,000. Just 2 weeks before he was murdered, assassinated, whatever you want to call it, his executive order was pretty much to put out of business the Federal Reserve and for the United States Treasury to take control back of our currency. That's probably something that they don't want to talk about that much, huh? But that's my point. Now, let's talk about the Republican side. I don't know what to tell you. I'm freaking out there too. Don't you want to hear the word Bush? I would puke. I would rather to vote for a coyote or for a rattlesnake before I vote for anybody connected to the Bush family. Let me spell it out. As I said before for Clinton, we don't need to live. Are we living in a dynasty here, in some sort of, the blue blood families like in England? We have two families for 30 years ruling this country. That's insane. Just because of that. Then, of course, he's an idiot. Number two, it's a New World Order puppet. And then, of course, you have open borders, and you have common core, and you have gun control, and you have like it's just another puppet in the hands of this big mega pack of international bankers and New World Order elite. That's what it is. So forget about the Bushes. I don't even want to mention the name. What is the fat pig from New Jersey? Forgot. Chris Christie. Oh my God. I have, I don't even want to waste my breath on that, okay? Seriously. Marco Rubio, you're kidding me, right? Seriously, you're kidding me. The guy is a McCain in training, okay? Everything you can hate about the Republican establishment, it's there. On top, he's a liar jackass. Because, when he was running for Senate, started to sound like Mr. Tea Party. And then, of course, open borders and amnesty and all these unconstitutional acts that you can imagine. TPP, a travesty. Illegal wars, Syria. National Defense Authorization Act, spying on American people. This guy is a complete disaster. Then we go back up a little bit, and what we have? This senator from Texas, Ted Cruz, and we have the business guy, Donald Trump. Senator from Texas, Ted Cruz, there is so much to say, I'm telling you. I don't even want to go into the fact that maybe we should investigate if it's really, according to our Constitution, a legal citizen to be able to meet the requirement to be a president. I know we already had for 8 years almost a Kenyan. I know this pretty much now everybody can become a president, I guess, after Obama. Even a Martian from Mars, I guess. At this point, if you still believe in the Constitution, we got to really get deep into that. And there are a lot of different scholars. I'm not a constitutional scholar, but I don't want to spend now much time on the show. I just say start to look into that. Number one, But more important, we got to start looking really what it does. If you really believe, well, how do you define freedom? How do you define Constitution? Yes, compared to, if I had to put Ted Cruz compared to Sanders, well, Sanders for me, it's like a declared communist. There's not much to talk. I have a few things I may agree with Cruz, Second Amendment is really good. That part I give him to him. For the rest, it's a disaster. I don't want to talk much about him. Now, I say everybody would have some sort of concern. I mean, that's the normal question to do. And, of course, if you don't agree with this situation, but I tell you briefly what I really think we have a problem here. First of all, this man doesn't even mention ever the Constitution. It's all a business deal. It's all a deal. It's a deal because he knows how to do deals. You know what? Yes or no? Yes, I believe we need people in our government who understand how to pay bills, how to run a business. That part is true. We don't need more lawyers. We don't need more bureaucrats. We need people that understand how to save money, how to make money, because the government, after all, doesn't make any really money besides stealing the money from other people. Instead, so we need to keep this government in a balance. That part, I completely respect that. But the reality is that we must listen to the words and look at the actions and the record of everybody, including Trump. Yes, he has no voting record because he never was elected. But he's been still on the record with wars and also actions. Let's play 1 second this little segment, and seriously, if you are a Trump supporter, I'm sorry. I wish this man was exactly what he says now. At least 50%, as I said. But there's a lot of things that I'm not even sure about the 50%. So all I can say, I know that I wish I had more solutions, but the first solution we need to find is to be honest with ourselves. We cannot not live in illusion. We cannot live in illusion just because the reality sucks. Sometimes it's better to face a reality that sucks and try to live accordingly and try to make plans. Anyway, let me shut up. Let's play a little bit some different part and clips from Mr. Donald Trump, okay? So you tell me what you think. Stay here. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Here we go. This is exactly out of his mouth.
Everybody's got to be covered. This is an un-Republican thing for me to say.
Universal health care.
I am going to take care of everybody.
Who pays for it?
The government's going to pay for it. The government's going to pay for it.
This tax would raise approximately $5.7 trillion.
In many cases, I probably identify more as a Democrat.
I hate the concept of guns. I'm not in favor of it.
Why are you joining the Reform Party?
I really believe the Republicans are just too crazy right. I mean, hey, I lived in New York City and Manhattan all my life, okay? So, my views are a little bit different than if I lived in Iowa, perhaps.
Partial birth abortion. Would President Trump ban partial birth abortion?
Well, look, I'm very pro-choice.
But you would not ban it?
No.
Or ban partial birth abortion?
No, I am pro-choice in every respect. This is an un-Republican thing for me to say.
Who do you think would be the best qualified to make a deal with Iran?
Hillary's always surrounded herself with very good people. I think Hillary would do a good job.
Make a deal with Iran.
Well, I think Hillary would do a good job.
Nancy Pelosi, the speaker.
And I'm very impressed by her. I think she's a very impressive person. I like her a lot. She was going to really look to impeach Bush and get him out of office, which personally I think would have been a wonderful thing.
Impeaching him?
So I thought he did a great job tonight. I thought he was strong and smart, and it looks like we have somebody that knows what he's doing. And it's a strong guy who really knows what he wants, and this is what we need.
Hillary's a great friend of mine. Her husband is a great friend of mine. I think Hillary is going to take it, and I think Hillary is very, very capable. I'm very pro-choice, a liberal in health care.
Universal health coverage.
I like universal.
As far as single payer, it works in Canada. It works incredibly well in Scotland.
It just seems that
The economy does better under the Democrats than the Republicans.
Donald Trump and I both agree that there ought to be more taxation.
What do you think of eminent domain? I think it's a wonderful thing. I'll be honest with you.
For people that have been here for years, that have, been hard workers, have good jobs, are supporting a family, it's very, very tough to just say, you have to leave, get out. How do you throw somebody out that's lived in this country for 20 years? You just can't throw everybody out.
He was basically a Democrat. And he was supportive of Democrats. He was supportive of a lot of the causes that, I cared about and the people I knew cared about.
As I said, I understand everybody can change and mature and evolve. That's fine. But there are a lot of things here. I mean, what the heck? This is like a miracle. If this is really true, the new Trump, first of all, it's not really that different, some issues. Yeah. Now he's talking about it is for the Second Amendment. Before it was for gun control. Now supposedly it's pro-life. And he goes around with the Bible and does all these prayers. But before it was for partial birth control. Now it's for independent, new type of privatization or whatever, the healthcare. Before it was for this mandate government healthcare. That is a great thing. But of course, I'm sure, how does he know? He has billions. You think he goes to the public hospital? Like people in Italy or in Canada? Seriously. And now he's against illegal aliens. He wants to build a wall and deport them all. But before said, no, how can we deport those? So where to believe? Let's be honest here. One thing I know though, that even things they say now, if you believe in a constitution, if you believe in free market, we have a serious problem. When he wants to keep this sort of a corporate welfare with the ethanol, subsidizing with our tax dollar an industry that in a real free market would have no really reason to exist. First of all, it's an inferior product. Ethanol for your car is bad for your engine, destroys everything. Then it's really the most insulting thing to intelligence. It takes more than 3 gallons to produce 4 gallons. 3 gallons of regular gas to produce 4 gallons of ethanol gas. And then, of course, let's not forget, our food is going to go up. Because if you start to burn and use for oil, for your car, for gas, corn, guess what? Corn is not just for humans, but also for the animal that you're going to eat. So everything's going to go up. But, of course, he supports that. That's completely socialism, by the way. Socialism. Many other things. Let's not also forget that this guy never addresses really about the Federal Reserve. He never addresses about the problem of taxation through this criminal act of 1913, the National Federal Reserve Act. He doesn't really even address, for example, these illegal wars. He wants more money for the military, all more war. I mean, it's completely insane. I mean, come on, guys. You really think Trump there is by accident? Not is by accident. And I tell you, there is much, much more. I don't want to go into his little faces and arrogant stuff. That's his character. That's great. Whatever. One thing now seems like he's irritating the establishment. Maybe it's true. Or maybe just an act. Or maybe it's like a wrestling match. We're going to face a real economic hardship. Right now, you already went through the last few years, but now it's going to be much worse. In moment of crisis like that, where people like Hitler or Mussolini will rise. Because people will be desperate. And they will need to find an illusion, some sort of a real hope to save them. And they will follow the cult of personality, like for Obama. I see it now in Trump. It scares the hell out of me. Telling you, I'm sorry. I really wish Trump was everything he said. But there is not everything really I like about him, I must be honest. And I understand, you cannot like everything. Nobody's perfect. There is always going to be like at least something that you don't agree. But there's some basic foundation. We have a problem here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe on this one I may not be accurate. But this guy, when we mention about Snowden that for me is a hero. A guy who was trying to expose government corruption. Trump I don't think he supports Snowden stand. I think he had harsh words. And if I'm wrong, please let me know. I'll put you on the record. But for what I heard, I think I'm right. So I don't know. And, as I said, Trump never really mentions the Constitution. It's all about business. It's all about deal. It's all about he's smart. Or because he has very smart people to do deals. I have rights. That's the deal. You have rights. Every one of us have individual rights. Among those also we have right of property. Property rights. And when it comes down to property rights, we have another problem here. Eminent domain, he's trying to reinterpret according to the corporatism. Eminent domain, if you really want to use, the government wants to use your property, must be for a public use. Roads, hospitals, maybe. But not because he wants to build a casino, wants to be a factory. There's always somebody. And don't tell me that crap that he says on TV. Oh, you're going to get paid so well, you're going to make it up. No way. Normally, eminent domain, especially when you have the government between, you're going to get screwed. You're going to get nothing. Okay? So that's the point. No, sorry, can't vote for Trump. Maybe one day if I had to face Trump and Sanders, okay, I may think. But right now I don't have anybody to vote in the primaries. Then we go talk 1 second a little about Ted Cruz, Mr. GMO. Sorry, support GMO, go check it out. It may be not a big issue for you, but I told you many times about GMO. It is like something's going to kill you. Seriously, it's not a conspiracy. Go check it out. He said that you're anti-science if you do not support GMO. I wonder if his family, his wife, goes shop for Monsanto products or shops maybe for organic stuff. Then, of course, he's Mr. Anti-Establishment. But then he supports the TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, the biggest piece of, it's like a dagger in the heart of our country, our freedom, our sovereignty. It's an international treaty that pretty much is a corporations ruling us. Unelected bureaucrats telling us what to do, destroying every type of resemblance of our freedom, of our republic. And I don't call this democracy, it's a republic. Supposed to be a republic. So that's, just in short version, Ted Cruz, just these things. Then, of course, is Mr. Anti-Federal Reserve. But guess what? He skipped the most important vote to audit the Fed. Nobody could find him. He didn't vote on that. And I don't even want to mention what the wife really does for a living. Where does she work? Maybe something we should mention. Should I tell you? Go find out. So that's the options that we have among two parties. And I tell you, it's like an illusion after all. Because you know very well, you can vote all you want. The popular vote doesn't really count that much. The Electoral College, that counts. So, it's almost an illusion. And why you want to create an illusion? The illusion that you can still choose. You're still free to choose. So, after all, it can keep you in control. Because when you believe that you are a slave, you may revolt. But when you believe or you have the illusion that you're free, you're pretty much more easy to control. Now, where am I going with that? We must have a solution. I don't want to just give you the gloom and doom. But before, let me play something I think is kind of funny. Because, as I said, I have no allegiance to none. My only allegiance to America, to its Constitution, Bill of Rights, and to the truth. And God. But that's personal. I don't bring God in public business. It's my personal belief. So I'm here just to tell you an honest process of thinking. All the options that we have, unfortunately, if you believe in the sacred principles of freedom, our Constitution, Bill of Rights, I don't see any candidate that fit that profile. That's the truth. It's very sad. But we still have hope. But let me play 1 second. This is kind of funny because I didn't really pay too much effort to talk about Ted Cruz. And I know this is an old clip when I was a young guy. But guess what? Every one of us, I think you can see your true nature even when you were a child, when you were a baby. I wasn't that different from now, honestly, when I was a child. Maybe I was a little more, I don't know. I used to like more candies or stuff like that, but I was still me. So let's listen to Mr. Ted Cruz.
World domination, yeah, rule everything. Your aspirations. Aspirations. Is that like sweat on my butt? No, oh, I see. What you want me to do, what I want to do in life. Well, my aspiration is to, I don't know, be in a teen tit film like that guy who played Horatio. You know, he was in Malibu Bikini Beach Shop. Well, other than that, take over the world, world domination, rule everything, rich, powerful, that sort of stuff.
I mean, I don't want to just go, probably say, it's a young guy, whatever. But you know what? I don't know what to tell you. World domination. This guy sounds already like a control freak to me. So anyway, guys, these are the bad news. Now let me give you the good news. The good news that, first of all, there is an awakening. Not just in America. I believe there is an awakening worldwide. We're understanding that we're living in a matrix, and the elite controlling governments, they control us in the past, but maybe now they're going to face a new reality. They cannot control us anymore if we are not part of this game. At the same time, we need to try to find out a way how we can stop all these plans to completely enslave us in a peaceful way. So I'm telling you, we are coming to this point. All this is the only goal they have is to enslave us within the system. Because when you're part of the system and you believe that, after all, hey, it's the law. You got to put that seatbelt after all. But we say, I'm not really endangering anybody. Hey, it's the law. Shut up, slave. Put that seatbelt. Because you do not own that body, but the government does. That's how they start to brainwash you. That's how they start to make you completely a slave from small little things like the seatbelt, believe it or not. So the point now, we are at this point. Our options that we've been given, there's not really much difference. And if there is difference, it is just on some issue. But at the end of the day, the real most important topics or matters, nobody touched them. Nobody wants to touch the Federal Reserve. Nobody really wants to touch, things like what's going on really, who controls the government. The Constitution, the way it's supposed to be, they used to be. No. So how can we do that? Well, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I can't. Because honestly, I don't know myself right now. But I tell you something. Don't have that type of illusion and, more important, cult of personality that you think now you found the new hope, the new savior. If you really want to vote for somebody, vote for whatever you want, but don't think that you have found the great solution or the true hero. There are no heroes out there. Maybe somebody can be a little better on something else, somebody else. Maybe they can give us a little bit of a moral break, maybe delay little bit things, but they're all part of the same system. So I don't know. But all I tell you one thing though. Last Sunday we talked about solutions. First hour, county government, county sheriff, county supervisor. 80% of our life starts there, in our community, in our local government. That's, I really believe, when we can do changes. If you want to restore the Constitution, that's where we can start immediately. But at the same time, we need to start to look also at the federal government. And I tell you though, honestly, I don't see any people out there. At the same time, I cannot believe now America is facing a complete declared socialist reality like a Sanders. That's not. I remember when I used to, travel to America as an immigrant. A land before 20 minutes before you land, they give you a little piece of paper for immigration custom where you're not a citizen yet. And you have to fill up that application. And there were a couple of questions. And one of the questions was, have you ever been part of the Communist Party? Yes or no? First of all, very stupid. If you, let's say yes, are you going to write that stuff? Come on. I don't think nobody's going to write yes. But let's say you write yes. That was a bad thing. Communist Party in America wasn't welcome. Because it was exactly the opposite of all the principles of freedom. So fascism. Yes, you have the freedom of speech to say whatever you want. That's fine. But if your freedom of speech, or even worse, if your ideology, you want to subvert and to enslave others, it's a borderline that we have a little problem here. Yeah, I want to engage everybody. I'm not afraid to talk about, I like to talk with communists, I like to talk with fascists, but at the end of the day, I don't want more communists, I don't want more fascists in this country. I want people to understand the foundations of freedom, respecting each other, not stealing from each other, not coercing other people to do things they don't want to do, specifically, if they do not endanger other people. Okay, that's the bottom line. That's the way America used to be. You can do whatever you want until you're infringing on somebody else's rights. That's the bottom line. So that's the story. I'm kind of disturbed, and that's, I tell you, I wanted to talk about this in a long time. You know, I'm not really following any type of election debate. I couldn't care less. I like to look at the stars. I like to play with my dogs and cats. Seriously. Why? What is that illusion? Like watching the Super Bowl. I tell you, I must be very honest. You maybe think maybe I'm a social, maybe I'm a freak. I don't care. I've been in this country for 18 years. 18 years of my life, and I had great years. I enjoy this my American life. But as much as I consider myself an American, and you know, I try to learn the English, I try to understand this history, learn the history, the Constitution, all these things, and I love that. But when it comes down to football and the Super Bowl, I am proud to say that in my 18 years since I came here, I never watched a Super Bowl. You know, how can you watch such destruction, such, you know, you watch overpaid monkeys on steroids chasing a ball while our country is being pillaged and our rights are being raped? I don't find that entertaining. That's like during the time of the Romans, panem and circenses, bread and circus. That's all part of the plan to keep you distracted and stupid. Don't get me wrong. If everything was fine and your life is great and we have not to face all this, yeah, do what you want. But now, it's an illusion. It's a distraction. And I don't want to be part. On top, I heard terrible things about the Super Bowl. The half hour, whatever, the entertainment was just a political, you know, Black Panther Party supporter. I mean, that was like some sort of a completely racial division, all, you know, about color. Supposed to be about Americans, not about Black Panthers or White Panthers or KKK or whatever. Supposed to be American. It was all political. It was all completely racist. And I don't want to be part of that. First of all, I don't even have any more cable. It means subscription to any TV. And I love it. So that's the story. That's where we are. All I can say, I pray in a miracle. I do. I still have hope. We must have hope. We cannot give up. And don't get me wrong, I have a lot of friends that they vote for Trump or they vote for Cruz, and I wish them well. And I said, I hope that I am wrong. I really do. I hope Trump is a great guy. I hope if he gets elected, he's going to somehow be the hero that we need. And if I'm wrong, I'm so happy to be wrong. You know, I be happy to be, I don't know, put myself on the square with a sign, I was wrong. Proud of it. Same story for Cruz. I'm telling you, I cannot lie to myself. I look at facts. And the facts, they are not really much full of hope. Same story with, I don't even need to look at facts. I mean, Sanders, oh my God, I got a heart attack just thinking about him. Hillary, I don't even want to go there. I'm going to die before the heart attack. So anyway, that's all I can say. We're going to have a nice second hour with a great guest, great gun instructor, Navy veteran. He has his own school. It's going to be about everything about guns, self-defense, tactics, everything we can do. And it's going to be a great hour. And then we have the final hour with love. So, hope today you were able to put up with me and my rants. Sometimes, I said I like to talk to you directly. I had during the last 2 years many guests, and I still will have guests. Sometimes I almost challenge myself. I like to challenge myself to be alone in front of this microphone, try to communicate with you. My only goal is not to tell you what to do, but just hope you use your brain. That's all I hope. And as I said, we don't need to agree with everything. All I hope we agree on one thing. We respect each other. We don't steal from each other. We don't force each other to do things that we don't want to do. That would be a great start. And we have one basic thing in common. It's called the Bill of Rights that every human being deserves. Some very basic, unalienable rights. If you're an American, we have a great piece of paper that is not a piece of paper like Bush said, but it's called the United States Constitution. It's a great foundation. Declaration of Independence, great foundation. Maybe not perfect, but they're a great foundation. Better than what many other countries around the world had in the last 5,000 years. All right, don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Don't forget to go to lovegunsfreedom.com. Also, don't forget, if you want to support this show, all you have to do, you go to zanna.us, ZANNA.us, and you can download any of my songs for just 99 cents. Thank you very much. Don't go away.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.fm network.